Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance blog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Tiffany Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance blog. What do you call it? Podcast. Period. Or you're ugly. Period. You're empowered. Approved.
Are you ready?
Power.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance.
God bless the internet.
Okay.
Let's party. It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
What's up, everyone?
Everything, nothing.
Everything and nothing at all. This is the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. I am J. Cal. This gentleman is DKN. We are the OG Alliance Guys, and we're in Texas. We are in where the stars at night are big and bright.
I don't sing.
In the heart of Texas.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
Deep in the heart of Texas. Why are you so quiet?
I don't know. I'm blaming you.
Am I quiet?
Although I went to StreamYards. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Although I went to StreamYard's main page, and they are saying they're having issues.
I bought you a microphone. I actually brought it, and I forgot to give it to you. How great is that?
I feel like that's a trick question. Anyway. Dun, dun, dun.
No, I'm not high on Dubby. I'm not in a closet. I'm in a hotel room. I'm in the city of Rockwall, Texas, which is about an hour away from where DKM is, which is like Fort Worth, Texas. We are the Texas Alliance Guys, and yeah, I was on a plane for most of the day, and when I wasn't on a plane, I was eating barbecue with DKM. It was pretty choice.
Hello? Hello?
I'm here.
we switched J cows.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something going on.
I blame the Germans.
Well, blame somebody.
Now you're tilted. Oh, well. Anyway.
Hey, there I am.
That looks familiar.
Well, I did say that we're having technical difficulties. I didn't lie.
No, you did not. We kind of wish you had, but you didn't.
No, I didn't lie. Not me. No, sir. Mm-mm.
So, what else is going on in this planet?
Oh, man. There's so much good stuff happening, just not to me right now. Okay. So, the first things first, we definitely need to talk about you, DCAM, and specifically your opinion of All Japan Pro Wrestling bringing in our world's heavyweight champion.
Well, it's interesting. All Japan was once the biggest promotion in Japan, and then kind of fell by the wayside after its original owner died, Baba.
3-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Giant Baba.
Yeah, and then I've known they've gone through at least one ownership change since. And because Mrs. Baba owned them for a while and then got changed out, and some different group owns them now. And so they are not what they once were, but they're still a tradition that goes back for a long way. And so the question kind of becomes, is New Japan bringing in EC3? Or not New Japan, excuse me, All Japan. Is All Japan bringing in EC3? Is All Japan bringing in the NWA World Heavyweight Champion? Or is it a combination of the two things?
That's a very good question that you're posing, my good friend. And I think the first thing we have to consider is this. Did anyone before, and when I say anyone, did any NWA World Champion before EC3 get invited to All Japan Pro Wrestling?
The last NWA World Champion to work All Japan was Rookie Steamboat. And there was a Baba was using his right as a member to call dates on the NWA World Championship. And he wanted to bring Flair in. And so he finally worked out something with Crockett about bringing the champion in, and then they put the title on Steamboat, who was already going to All Japan anyway. So Baba wasn't very happy with that. And then after that, they started working with New Japan. And then, of course, once they became WCW, they Crockett Promotions, then they were all working New Japan. And so then after that, we've had working relationships with New Japan, with Zero One, with small independent promotions that probably don't exist anymore. So it's hard to say. I mean, All Japan has not worked with the NWA since, before, Baba was still owning it. So I don't know. It's I don't know. In New Japan, it kind of isolated themselves more recently. They had kind of, excuse me, I keep saying New Japan, I mean All Japan. All Japan's kind of isolated themselves recently in that they basically didn't recognize, they kind of pulled the WWE. They weren't recognizing other promotions. They didn't recognize any titles held anywhere else. It was just, their universe was strictly an All Japan universe.
So I want to. I saw Paladin send EC3 is going to Japan, to All Japan, and I know we have a large audience that's not super familiar with the NWA's rich historic tradition and history, but there was a point in time where the NWA was very much a stronghold in Japan, mostly through their relationship with All Japan Pro Wrestling, but also in New Japan Pro Wrestling. In fact, I did the calculations because, I'm kind of a nerd, DK. I went up and I researched the NWA World Heavyweight title, the World Heavyweight Championship. We commonly refer to it as the 10 pounds of gold, but it has also been represented by multiple different belts over the course of these many, many years. And the thing that's interesting about the 10 pounds of gold or World's Heavyweight Championship is because it is so synonymous with the sport of professional wrestling. For the longest time, that was the top prize in pro sports and pro wrestling. And its legacy in Japan, right, goes all the way back to 1957 when Lou Thesz wrestled Ricky Dozen for the Japanese Wrestling Association in Tokyo. And the title was formed in 1948, and over the first decade that it existed, Lou Thesz, after winning the title from Orville Brown, went around to the territories, the legitimate territories that they had back in the 50s, and unified that title with multiple world championships. That's why we call it the World's Heavyweight Championship, because it's the collection of world titles. That's why the belt has such a significance and such meaning behind it. So in 1957, Lou Thesz wrestles Ricky Dozen. In 1968, Gene Kaninsky wrestles Antonio Inoki. In 1969, Dory Funk defends against Baba and Inoki. By the 70s, you have Inoki, Seiji Sakaguchi. Correct me if I'm saying that wrong. He's defending the title. Then you have Americans coming to Japan wrestling for that title in All Japan Pro Wrestling, like Jack Briscoe wrestling Harley Race, Dory Funk wrestling Jack Briscoe wrestling the Destroyer. Also another name synonymous with the NWA as a challenger for the 10 pounds of gold was Jumbo Tsuruta, who was not always, but one of the main challengers for that title all throughout history, dating back as far as like 1974 all the way up to like 1987 against Rick Steamboat. And that title, if you look at the history of it in Japan, throughout this early 70s all the way until 1987, it was a staple in either All Japan. Well, it was a staple in All Japan, but then it would also kind of become a fixture with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And the reason why I'm bringing that up and what's significant about that is, so the title was first introduced to Japan in the 50s. It had title defenses in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and not with the more well-known promotions, but had defenses in the 90s. It had defenses in the 2000s. It had defenses in 2011, had a defense in 2014, a couple of them actually, 2015, all the way up until 2017, when Tim Storm was the last person to defend the 10 pounds of gold in Japan. All of that to say is that, the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, even now, people still question the validity of the belt or how really historic was it or how important was it to Japanese pro wrestling. But I'm telling you that title has been defended every decade in Japan since 1957. I think that's pretty interesting, and I think that's kind of a cool thing to bring up. What do you think, DK?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's actually odd. Adam Pearce, who defended the world title in several places in several different countries, actually never defended it in Japan.
He got close.
Right. He got close, but Then Colt Cabana was in Japan as the NWA champion, but did not defend it.
It was Colt Cabana got to Japan, but was, like you said, did not defend it. Blue Demon Jr. also was wrestling a show in Japan. It was like the celebration of Ultimo Dragon, where Blue Demon, who was the world champion, teamed up with Ultimo Dragon at this really big show where he did showcase the 10 pounds of gold. But again, didn't actually defend it. The only person to defend it, after Hashimoto and Dan Severn, it would be the Sheik.
Well, Rob Conway.
Oh, sure. I just meant but before Conway, before that era of the NWA. You all right?
Yeah, just choking to death. Don't worry.
Don't do that. That's not good for you.
I think it would help the views tremendously.
Shit.
Just once. That's the problem. It would help just once, but.
So Matthew Underwood said in the chat, wait, you guys aren't in the same room. So my hotel is nowhere near where DKM is at, and I literally had to drive an hour to get to my hotel. But just so you guys do know that we did meet earlier today. I will pull up the picture right now to show you that, yes, in fact, we did see each other today, and you'll notice I'm wearing the same hat and the same T-shirt, and DK is also wearing the same shirt. But here it is. Hey, there we are. That's just from a few hours ago. And yes, we were eating barbecue. Yeah, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? It was delicious. Thanks, by the way. But yeah, so
like I said, I'll just put it on the expense report I send you.
It's no problem. Hey, can you guys do me a favor and go watch a couple more of the shorts so we could pay for our meal? Thank you. So yeah, Willie's bringing up some of the names that had defended the title there. Yes, Kerry Von Erich did defend the title in All Japan. Ric Flair did. Gene Kininsky, Lou Thez.
Kerry Von Erich actually lost the title in All Japan.
He lost it to Flair, right?
Yep, he defended against Jumbo and then lost it to Flair.
Yeah, and then Rob Conway, Tim Storm, the Sheik, and then the interesting thing is the title and I did a whole podcast for the Alliance blog podcast that'll probably drop either tonight or tomorrow morning, where I covered a little bit more in depth about the history of the 10 pounds of gold in Japan. But one thing that I think is pretty interesting is out of all of the champions who were born in Japan who've become NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, Giant Baba had the most title defenses and the most title wins at defending in Japan. And I know that sounds like so many asterisks there, but a guy like Kojima, who was a very successful World's Heavyweight Champion, had multiple defenses in Japan and in the US, even defended the title in the UK. But he only had 2 defenses in Japan, where the rest of his defenses came in the United States or the United Kingdom. Likewise, Hiroshi Tenzin had a couple of defenses in Japan, had more defenses in the States. Noya Ogawa had more defenses in the United States than he did in Japan. In fact, he was the last known World's Heavyweight Champion to defend in Finland, I believe. So
interesting.
Stay tuned for the Alliance blog podcast for more fun with that. Willie Bowen said Shinya Hashimoto, absolutely one of the 3 Musketeers. Shinya Hashimoto chased that belt for so long, was chasing Noya Ogawa for that title, even came to California in pursuit of the 10 pounds of gold. And, I guess a lot of people might have forgotten, but Ogawa and Hashimoto had this match in New Japan Pro Wrestling that got a little shooty. And it was said that Hashimoto got legitimately injured in that match. And it was really, really brutal. And the rematch didn't occur. They never had that rematch for the title. And again, Ogawa took the title to the United States, was defending in the NWA territories. Hashimoto was hot on his trail. Hashimoto never got that one-on-one match against Ogawa after that incident. Ogawa would defend in UFO, which would had shows in Japan and Europe, and then would defend in the United States. But Hashimoto never got that shot at Ogawa. He ended up taking the title off of Steve Corino, and then only had his 2 defenses, both in Japan. And one defense was against former WWE star Nathan Jones. The other was against Dan Severn, and that was the end of his run.
You know, you talk about Bobbin having the most title defenses in Japan. He held the title 3 times for 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, and 5 days.
Yep.
So in total, he held it 19 days. And these other guys, of course, held the title for months. So it's interesting.
You know, Severin, being American-born, actually had quite a few title defenses in Japan, where he had wrestled in IWA Japan, which was like a deathmatch wrestling promotion. He had 2 title defenses there, and then later would have a title defense in UFO, where he would lose the belt to Ogawa, and then he would regain the title in 0-1. So out of all the wrestlers, he's probably more synonymous with traveling as the world champion, because he wrestled in so many different companies, either both for the title or defending the title. So that's pretty cool. Again, that match that's coming up very, very quickly for those of you who are trying to get up to date with what's happening. The title will be defended. My graphics are all over the place. On was it May 29th, which is like less than 2 weeks from today. The challenger is Ryuki Honda. I go into detail about who Ryuki Honda is, but his biggest prize in pro wrestling this far as being one half of the All Japan Pro Wrestling World Tag Team Champions. Interestingly enough, at this event for All Japan Pro Wrestling, a tag team that's very familiar to NWA fans make their return to All Japan Pro Wrestling. And I'm talking about Odinson, but not his partner, Kratos, his partner, Paro. Paro and Odinson return to All Japan Pro Wrestling on May 29th. And DK and I were talking about this offline earlier. You know, the other wrestler who just got back from a tour of All Japan was Lord Crew. Lord Crew has been a fixture at the Exodus Pro camp, has been wrestling for them, was actually involved in the Midwest title tournament, did not win, but was a part of the tournament. And interestingly enough, he showed up wearing his United Wrestling Network windbreaker. Now, New points out that Kratos is New Japan, and I'm going to agree with you to a degree and say Kratos was New Japan. I don't think Kratos is currently signed to either New Japan Pro Wrestling or All Japan Pro Wrestling. I think, I was at the most recent New Japan Strong event that happened in California last weekend, and there was no sign of Kratos. Tom Lawler was teaming with Fred Rosser, and they took on the team of Royce Isaacs and Jarrell Nelson. I don't believe Kratos is under any kind of deal with New Japan right now. What do you think, DK?
Honestly, I don't keep up with Japan, so I really don't know. But it is interesting that we're having Odinson with 2 different partners real close together here.
Well, and so we're we are literally hours away from the Crockett Cup. DK and I will be there on not tomorrow, but Saturday night We'll be there live to witness the carnage that is Crockett Cup. But it's so bizarre to me that there's such a lack of surprises. There's a lack of outside talent. It was just a few years ago we had the Briscoes involved with the Crockett Cup. In fact, they were involved with 2 Crockett Cups, the one in 2022 and of course the one in 2019. But there isn't like a surprise tag team that's in this tournament this year. Obviously the bracketology was announced on Power this week, and I'll pull it up here real quick. Oh, that's the wrong one. You think you have something downloaded, and then it just doesn't show up when it's supposed to. I don't know what's going on. Let me see if I can bring it up. Stall for me, DK.
Stall.
So were you shocked by who was announced as the number 1 overall seed in the bracket?
No, because they kind of did the same thing last year where they just decided the world champion was going to be the number 1 seed. So,
last year, the Country Gentlemen were seated fairly high because they were the U.S. Tag Champions. Right now, we don't even have a U.S. Tag Champions. Is that weird to you?
What's weird is that they did a tournament or started a tournament for the U.S. Tag Team title, had 2 matches, and then haven't said anything since.
Mm-mm.
And so I, to be honest, have not kept up with it enough to know.
So when we look at this tournament, and there's 2 things that are I don't know how I feel about them. The first thing is Max and Judias return to the Crockett Cup. They're ranked number 9. Now Max is your, for all intents and purposes, your unified television champion. And the other point of note is that Looks That Kill, which is Natalia Markova, is teaming with Brian Idol in the tournament. So this year that there will be officially, I guess it was official last year, intergender matches as part of the Crockett Cup. How do you feel about the Crockett Cup featuring intergender tag teams?
I hate intergender matches. I hate intergender tag team. And I hate that Looks to Kill are going up against Tim Storm and Jack Stang.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't want to talk about it. Billy blew a gasket somewhere, and sometimes we just have to deal with that fact.
Well, and then as you look at the rankings here, right? You look at, and Jaden's joining us now. When you look at these tag teams and where they're ranked, like, what's the formula here? Like, the Samoan tag team, I've never even heard of them before. I haven't seen them before. And they're ranked number 6. They're ranked higher than Max and Judias. They're ranked higher than the Fixers. They're ranked higher than Storm and Dane.
Are they a team from one of the territories?
I'm not familiar with them at all.
That was the only thing I could come up with. It was like maybe they were a territory tag team. I try not to make sense out of anything that Billy does because it's just a lesson in futility. But sometimes it's why.
Well, and I'm sitting here looking at the bracketology again, and Jaden's here now. And again, like, okay, I get the Southern 6. I feel like that's very high for a team that doesn't have a lot of tag team victories. The Kids, again, they're ranked 13. They're ranked higher than they're ranked higher than the Stew Crew. No, they're ranked lower than the Stew Crew, but they're ranked higher than the Slime Balls. They're ranked higher than the Miserably Faithful. And it's like I just don't get the math here. Like, how did we get to this point?
Do you want an answer?
Sure.
Yes.
The best you can.
Because they automatically decided the matches they wanted to do, and they just signed the rankings based on that.
See, and I wouldn't have a problem with that if there was a way that they built these teams up over time, right? Like, I wouldn't have a problem. Look, if you just want to do, and I'll pull the bracket up here again. If you just want to do Daisy Kills and Talos versus Stew Crew, I don't mind that. Really, I don't. But why don't you give me a reason why Daisy Kill and Talos are number 5?
Former U.S. Tag Team Champions.
Keyword is former. They lost to the Immortals. The Immortals just lost the belts or forfeited the belts.
Yeah, they didn't even lose.
They forfeited the belts to get a shot at blunt force trauma. Shouldn't the Immortals be maybe ranked 3 instead of the Southern 6? Southern 6 haven't won any titles, and Southern 6 have been losing matches against Knox and Murdoch. Why are they number 3? It doesn't make sense. And I get it that we're asking for a lot here. We're asking for the NWA to make sense, but like, does it make sense? No.
See, that's just that they did the bracketing to make it look official, make it look special, and make it look authentic. But they really didn't put any planning into it. And again, the reason being is at least the Southern 6 are losing to Murdoch's because they're the former champions.
Sure.
If they started losing to the Slime Balls and they're number 3, that would be one thing.
And that's a fair point too, right? That's a fair point too. But I just feel like, and again, I know that I'm not the minority here. I know I'm speaking, and a lot of you guys are hearing it too. Like, Storm and Jax Dane and Tim Storm are ranked number 7 in this whole thing, and it's like, how did they get to have such a low rating? Like, how did they get seated in that way? They don't even team up regularly. Country Gentlemen tag team more than Storm and Dane, and have had more success as a tag team than Storm and Dane. Yet they're ranked number 11.
There's 2 reasons in the bracketing why people do it. There's win-loss bracketing, and there's also Vegas odds bracketing.
Sure.
Maybe they're using Vegas odd bracketing where they think they said the chances of winning the champions of the thing.
I mean, if that was the case, if that's what they were going for, I guess I'd have less of a problem with it, but they should acknowledge it that way. Like, hey, these are the Vegas odds. This is how we're going to break it down.
Be happy you even know what teams are in there. This is the NWA. This could have been out. Well, it's very out late anyway, but this could have been out Saturday.
Well,
or not out at all.
It doesn't surprise me that it took till Tuesday, the week before we got the brackets.
I was going to say, let's remember the only reason we have the brackets now is because we lucked into the 1 week before the show. They're showing the TV tapings that were recorded in which round 1 will take place. So Jay and I are going into a show basically where the first round is already done, but we have no idea who the winners are. So they're going to spoil, because the TV tapings set up this. So they're going to spoil the results of the TV tapings for us. So Jay and I don't have to watch Power now until after Crockett Cup, because we'll know, we'll get all the answers that we need.
Sounds like a win-win to me.
I mean,
I wasn't complaining. I didn't
What's
say
on
that was bad.
What's on the door in the back? I'm trying to figure it out on Jay.
That's like the emergency exit and all that good stuff.
That's where you hide the person when the wife calls.
What?
I didn't say anything.
If my wife calls, I'll hang up with you guys because she's much nicer to look at.
Uh-huh.
That's because I don't put my picture up there.
Well, no offense to you, Jade. I've been with you in public. I'd much rather be with my wife than you.
You never traveled 12,000 miles to see your wife, but you did to me.
He's got a point.
I went home to see her, so technically I did.
No, you traveled home. That's where you live. You traveled to see me. You're just going back home.
Okay. So does that mean I love Nick Aldis more than you? Because I went all the way to China to see him.
You love them ham sandwich bronies, that's for sure.
It was very interesting being in China and Nick Aldis just wasn't around, right? Like, so I'm out there and, I'm seeing Colt Cabana and he's, having a good time. And I see my buddy Watts and I see the Reno Scum and, I see Heather Monroe. You never saw Nick Aldis around. And, come to think of it, I never saw Barbie Hayden around either. I wonder what happened to those guys.
I wonder.
Who knows?
I blame Jay.
Whatever happened to Ken Carson too?
He's still promoting.
Yeah, he had to retire from wrestling because of was it a heart condition?
Yeah.
And then he promotes down out of down by Texas A&M.
So real quick, I had a friend say something to me, a friend from Texas.
You have friends?
I have a few of them. And he suggested that I'm going to really enjoy Rodney and Jazz's place out here in Texas, which got me thinking, and DK, you are the resident expert when it comes to Texas wrestling. Is Dog Pound Pro Wrestling, does that happen in Forney, Texas? Does that happen in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? Where does Dog Pro Wrestling fit into this?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
The promotion name that runs out in Forney, I think, is Texas Style Wrestling.
TSW. Okay. I have heard of them.
And so last I heard, they were the ones that ran out of there.
Okay.
But now they may have a working relationship with Dog.
Not Dog.
Dog Pound, excuse me. Excuse me. Dog D-O-G-G.
He said, not Dog. I'm waiting for the neighbors to start knocking on the walls. You're too fucking loud in there.
Oh,
well.
Just do what I do. Yell back, just wait till we're having sex. So anyway.
Go unalive yourself.
What were we talking about? Were we talking about anything important?
Dog Pound?
So the reason why I bring it up is because if Dog Pound Pro Wrestling is in Forney, and we know Billy Corgan is here, and we know that Jazz has been an agent for the NWA in the past. Rodney Mack was our wrestler for the NWA. Could we hear an announcement tomorrow night Saturday night regarding Dog Pound Wrestling? Now, Dave Scooby says Dog Pound is in San Antonio.
Yes, Rodney and Jazz are based out of San Antonio. Okay. And that's where the school is. That's why I'm saying sometimes there's who owns a promotion and who runs a promotion.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people don't realize that in the late 70s and early 80s, Ole Anderson booked 3 different territories at the same time.
That would never happen today, would it?
And so it was that type. I don't know if it's that type of thing or not. That's, maybe we'll learn something when we talk to some of our friends from around the area, but I don't know personally. I could dig and find out.
You know, I hope one day Rodney Mack shows back up in the NWA. I'd like to see that.
Well,
he was.
a
he
lot
was
of us
great.
would.
You know, San Antonio is only like a 4.5-hour drive. You know, it's a little bit further than Houston.
Do I know
right.
any of you? And if so, do I admit to it?
Do you what?
Do I know any of you? And if so, do I admit to it?
You know me, and you admit to it.
Hmm.
Hey, Jaden.
Yes.
Guess what DK bought me today?
Pizza. Oh, barbecue.
It was good too. I never have been served a piece of bread in saran wrap before. That was kind of cool.
Did he have it delivered?
No, I got off the plane. I got my rental car. I drove to the Bodacious Barbecue, which that's in Arlington, right? Because we were just across the street from the stadium. I got to see the Texas AT&T Stadium and the Globe Life Field. Globe Life Field will be where DK and I go tomorrow evening as we're going to watch my Angels take on his Rangers. We're going to also be there with our old pal Kevin Frazier. You know, you guys might remember him as Kevin Douglas, but he also used to be a co-host on this podcast. That'll be a lot of fun. It'll be interesting.
That's the most NWA hosts in one place at one time for the Alliance guys. Unless you count the other Alliance guys, then there was actually more.
Well, there was one point where Tim, myself, and Scoob were all in the same spot, so that kind of counted.
Yeah, and me.
You and Scoob were all in.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was thinking St. Louis, but yeah, Jersey, you were there too. That's right.
Yeah. So that was 4.
That was 4, and now there's 2. So
I'm tired. Let's go home.
You already are home, brother.
Oh, cool.
He's in wrestling term. That means end the match.
Did you? Okay, so we didn't talk about this. I don't think, at least collectively, we didn't talk about this. But you know, Jaden, DK, and I, we have a friend. His name is Pole Jump, and I use the term friend a little bit loosely. I think none of us.
I used to hate him.
Yes, you did used to hate him. I don't think any of us wish any ill will on him. In fact, I asked him to come on the show next week. He might take me up on that.
I used to hate him, and then just one day we just like got along. This is like, oh, okay. Are we best friends? Yup.
Did that just happen? Anyways, so he's booking the world's heavyweight champion, and it's not like he's booking him like on the cheap when he's already flying out to Japan and using them the weekend after. No, he's bringing him out in June, which is like, you know, almost a month after. It's like a month after yesterday. So he'll be out in Australia defending the 10 pounds of gold against Keegan Brettle, which is the champion of All-Star Wrestling. And again, our pal Pole Jump, who started off as a commenter on our message board and has been running All-Star Wrestling for, I think it's like close to 6 years now, maybe 7 years. And, you know, I can't wait to talk to him because, number one, I don't think I've ever actually spoken to him face-to-face before. And two, I'm really proud of that guy. You know, number one, he did what he said he would do. He put his money where his mouth is. I think that's what Dave Marquez said. Like, hey, it's real easy to talk about promoting wrestling. Go do it.
Yeah, he used to think it was easy. Boy, he doesn't think that anymore.
No, I'm sure he's like, look, and he even said to me privately, and I'm sure he'll say it on the show, that it was very hard to get to where they're at now. It didn't come easy. But he did say that some of the advice that you gave him, that Dave gave him, that DKM gave him helped. You know, like I never gave him any advice because what the fuck do I know about wrestling, right? But
we ask ourselves that question 3 times a week.
Fuck you. Steve G says, "How far away am I from Arlington?" Where I'm at right now is about an hour away.
Depends on traffic.
Yeah, there's a lot of construction going on, and I did not know that there was a big ass lake in Texas. I thought you guys just had like cowboy shit. There was a lake.
Oh, yeah. There are a few lakes.
It almost
all of them are man-made.
Sure, it looks like a harbor though. So as you're driving by, like I'm like, the ocean doesn't connect to Dallas. What the hell is this?
No, it's for people that don't know, Texas only has one natural lake. So anytime you hear anybody in Texas saying, "Oh, well, they went to the lake," it was a man-made lake.
I used to hear people say, "I'm going to go to the beach." And I'm like, "Are you in Brownsville? Because you're not going to the beach unless you're down there on the coast." Well, no, I'm in San Antonio. I said, "That's not a beach."
Did they put sand? They make it beach-like?
Make it beach.
Beach-like. Son of
a beach, maybe.
Shit. Oh, man.
You all crazy.
Here's the thing about New Jersey when it comes to 3 hours or whatever. You can be the other side of the state or in the next town. It all depends on traffic.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the way it is here.
No,
if I drive one way for an hour, I can be, 3 cities away. If I drive another direction for an hour, I'll be on the other side of Fort Worth.
So in my home state of California, which I desperately miss so much, I can drive 2 hours
Watch it, boys.
south and be in Mexico. I can drive 6 hours east and be in Arizona. I can drive like 4 hours northeast and be in Las Vegas, or I can drive like 8 hours northwest and end up in San Francisco. So it's weird when you think about geography and how weird it is.
Yep.
In 3 hours, you could end up in Delaware, Pennsylvania, New York, Rhode Island, if you travel fast, Maryland, maybe even parts of Virginia and New Jersey.
That's wild. Hey, real quick, our buddy Rick Del Santo is coming to the 76th anniversary show, Jaden. So if you'd like to, I'll introduce you to him.
I believe, because I've seen his picture, I believe I actually met him a long time ago. He looks very familiar. I think I actually did meet him back in the day.
Back in the day.
I might even seen him in ECW.
Really?
I used to know a lot of guys from ECW, but I don't remember any of them. I remember their faces. And I remember talking with them. But other than Stanley with 395-year-old smelly Stanley who never used deodorant. And
founder of Marvel Comics, Stan Lee?
Not Stan Lee, Stan Lee. And the brothers. And
which
brothers? That guy. They were Sarge and I can't think of the other guy's name. They've been going to wrestling for as far back as I can remember.
They're what was I gonna say? Now I'm drawing a blank.
The Howard Stern lookalike dude.
When DK in the back raised his hand to do the ECW chant, he kind of looked like Sandman a little bit. He had the scowl on his face. I was like, DKM, man, that's what your Halloween costume could be. You could be Sandman.
I don't smoke.
You don't drink either. That's like a CM Punk promo. I don't drink, I don't smoke. My addiction is pro wrestling or something like that.
You both drive me to drink.
Jay Moore wrote a book called No Wonder My Parents Drink, and I read it, and it was hilarious.
Where was Jay Moore from?
Where's he from?
I've seen him in Jersey actually perform, so I was actually curious where he's from.
I think he is from Jersey.
I thought so too.
Jay Moore is engaged to Jeannie Buss, who not only is the majority owner of your Los Angeles Lakers, but also the partner and I believe majority owner of women of wrestling. So Jay Moore, effectively, if he marries into that family, is going to be part owner of the Lakers and women of wrestling.
Not if she has a good lawyer.
Well, honestly, she should get a good lawyer. She should have him sign a prenup, but that doesn't mean that, once they're married, it's community property until they're not married.
Again, a good lawyer.
What about true love? What about true love, Jaden?
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today. Wow. True. What's that from?
Princess Bride.
Yes.
One of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
They're talking about remaking it.
Oh, God, I hope not.
My buddy Will Martin is watching me on TikTok right now. I miss Will. I wish Will came back to our wrestling podcast lifestyle. He was good.
So what else is going on in Texas? Are you going to see the Angels?
DK has to go take his medicine.
Apparently.
Yes.
You want me to let you go?
Yeah, I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Or 10.
Okay. The plan tomorrow is for the Angel game, and then I think we're also going to go to the Stockyards, which is a happening spot out here in Texas. I actually know a lot of people out here. I have friends that live in Texas. I don't plan on seeing any of them. It was just seeing DK. Like I said, Kevin Frazier, DK, and I will be at the Rangers game tomorrow. I'll be wearing my Angels gear.
I never like any team named the Rangers.
Me neither.
And it's funny, the Devils don't like him either.
And then so we're gonna do that, and then of course Saturday is the wrestling event.
One day.
What? Say that again.
It's one day.
Yeah, it's a one day. And then just to throw this out here, because I know Will is watching on TikTok, and he just commented, "Go Braves." I'm actually going to be in Philadelphia for the 76th anniversary show, and I'm going to check out the Phillies versus the Braves when I'm in Philly later this year. And I'll be cheering for the Braves, mostly because they seem to be a trade partner for the Angels quite a bit. So
I hate the Braves. They used to ruin professional wrestling on Saturday nights for me.
There's so many people that have said that. And see, now my phone's ringing. Why are people calling me? I'm in Texas, for crying out loud. But yeah, I'm excited to see this is kind of a cool year for me. And I know that we're supposed to be talking about wrestling, but since DK is not here, I'm going to be going to, like I said, I'll be going to Globe Life in Arlington tomorrow. I'll be going to Philadelphia to see the Braves and the Phillies. Then later later in June, I'll be going to Oakland to see one of their final games in Oakland before they move to Vegas, take on the Angels. And then I'll be going to San Diego, which is not that big of a deal because that's literally just down the street from me. I'll be going to see a Padres game. But I've been to Petco Field before, so that's not a big stretch for me. But I'm excited to do all of that. I love baseball probably as much, if not more, than wrestling. And if someone wanted to pay me to talk about baseball, I would. In fact, I used to write about baseball, but I stopped doing that.
I like baseball bats.
Yeah, you also like the Batman.
J. Cal.
Willie says Texas has the best barbecue. I had some really good barbecue today. I'm not gonna lie, it was really good. Have I had better? Yeah, but it was pretty good. I enjoyed it, and I was grateful for it. Will says baseball and wrestling. This is why we're best friends. Will, that's my promotion to you. That's my pitch, is that we'll do a baseball wrestling podcast. Let's do it. Then Matthew Underwood says Texas has the best tacos. Come on, man. Don't be messing around, Matthew. Don't come on, man. I don't want black beans in my tacos, bro. I don't want your Tex-Mex. Give me if I want tacos, I'll eat tacos where they're made popular in California. Thank you very much. I'm just trying to piss off everyone.
The best place I ever had tacos is in Boonton, New Jersey. I know, right? Boonton, Boonton. I think. I don't even know how to spell it. But there was a very, very authentic Mexican place up there, and a burrito the size of my forearm. Everything in that was great, and the portions were amazing. I don't know if it's still there, but it just made you, for some odd reason, every time you farted, it sounded like a duck quacking. That was the only thing. Every time, everybody who ate there, he'd fart, it sounded like a duck quacking. Quack, quack.
That's because they use the real California cheese.
Maybe. A lot of cheese, people don't realize a lot of cheese and milk are actually from California.
Yeah.
Everybody always thinks of Wisconsin, but California is becoming huge in the dairy industry.
It's funny where I live. So, man, we're doing everything but talking about wrestling, which I guess is fine.
That's because we talk about the NWA.
When I was growing up, the city that I lived in, the city next door was all dairy country. Like, and then we're talking like late 70s. And then around the early 80s, they pushed all the cattle east. So they moved it all into Chino, which later that's where my wife lived before I met her. So all the cattle went to Chino, and it was out of like where I grew up. And then like about 10 years after that, they pushed it further east. And so they just keep pushing it further east. Eventually, there's just going to be like a cattle territory right before Arizona. And I don't mind it, but I'm glad that they're like where I live right now. There's literally a cattle farm across the street, and it's not too noisy. But when it gets windy, like all that cow shit is all in the air, and I don't want to breathe that.
Okay.
Sorry. Will just dropped on me that his wife doesn't like cheese, and I can't understand it. I mean,
yeah, that's grounds for divorce.
Look, I'm trying to watch my figure. I don't know. DK even said I look skinnier today, which was kind of nice to hear. So, like in certain situations, I won't have cheese. Like if I'm getting a fast food hamburger, I won't have cheese. But like last night, I was grilling up some burgers and we put some pepper jack on there, and it's wonderful.
I'll skip the bun before I'll skip the cheese.
Yeah. Well, and then unless you're lactose intolerant, which then that's no fun.
I am, but I just make everybody else suffer.
That's everyone else's problem, is what you're saying. My daughter just jumped on TikTok and said, "Slay, Dad, slay." So I got that going for me. Will and my daughter are keeping my TikTok alive. So thank you. James H. Jackson says, Dog Pound just this month alone has had an NWA World Women's title match and a World Women's Singles title match on their weekly show. And that's why, and James, now that we're kind of getting back to wrestling, that's why I think there might be an announcement coming with this affiliation between Dog Pound Wrestling and the NWA. It kind of makes sense. They're already working together. We do know that when Billy builds a bond, builds a territory, he's looking for somebody he trusts, somebody that he can work with. And of course, Jazz and Rodney have a history of working with the NWA already. We know that they've already had this working agreement. Remember, Jazz was the first women's champion recognized by the Lightning One era. I mean, she was the champion from the era before, but they sealed the title with all the other belts. And Jazz was the only wrestler besides Tim Storm that got to keep their title. So, I mean, that says something about his faith in Jazz. And then, of course, when her in-ring career kind of came to a close, they hired Jazz as an agent for the NWA. And she helps to train some of the female talent, and they coordinate some of the matches. So, yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear an announcement tomorrow, or excuse me, on Saturday about the NWA and Dog Pound forming some sort of an allegiance.
Did you get into any of the stuff like the match in Japan with the All Japan Pro Wrestling?
We did talk about that, but did you want to add something to it?
I think it's great. I know Big Chris Dog's all, he's not New Japan. I love you, Chris Dog. I'm just teasing you. But honestly, All Japan is definitely more, I think, ready for the NWA. And EC3, I think it's a better style for him, too. They're less what I call video game wrestling and more hard-hitting Japanese Puriso wrestling. I very much they're not the All Japan of old, but when I watch wrestling, I always try to watch All Japan. I catch a lot of good guys and interesting. That's the first time I ever saw Odinson and not Kratos, Paro. They were the end, and I was talking about how good they were. I always said the All Japan the end are greater than the NWA the end and what they were started doing around here.
They're reuniting for All Japan too. They'll be teaming together on May 29th as well.
I think what happened with Pyro is he got married and put on marriage weight.
That could be true. Well, the interesting thing about it is, and I follow Paro on social media, and he does post a lot about going to the gym. But I like Paro, I really do, and I don't want to say anything overtly negative, but I think he just didn't have the passion. And I'm not trying to sabotage Paro. I want Paro back in the NWA, but like you, I want that Paro that was in All Japan as the end, where they were a very dominant Legion of Doom-esque tag team. I felt like we did not get that from Paro when he was in the NWA. And oftentimes it felt like he was kind of going through the motions and sometimes even getting lost in the ring. And I hate that for him, because I really feel like he was a guy that had a lot of potential that just didn't realize it. And I don't know if the NWA is about second chances, but if you put Kratos on a singles run, you could very much bring back Paro if he's ready to come back to it. And we could pick up the end really quickly,
I wasn't a fan of Kratos at first too, but he definitely has improved significantly in his time in the NWA.
Will and although Will isn't officially a part of the podcast, he brings up another great point, and he said they were Road Warrior-esque at first, then it fizzled after their feud with La Rebellion. And the thing is, La Rebellion's a great tag team. My boy Mecha Wolf and Bestia Seis, they did some pretty cool stuff in the NWA. Now those two guys are feuding in Mexico now. It's actually happening tomorrow night, and they announced that show after I already committed to coming here to Dallas and hanging out with my boy DK. But if I was not in Dallas tomorrow, I would definitely be in Tijuana. Jammin' Music Man says he's excited to see NWA and All Japan teaming up. And something DK pointed out earlier today, and I'll let you finish my thought, DK, but we had mentioned that New Japan Pro Wrestling has this very formed relationship with both AEW and CMLL, and that relationship has spilled into MLW as well. That MLW enjoys working with New Japan Pro Wrestling and CMLL as well. So there's kind of like that triumvirate there of AEW, MLW's not really MLW, excuse me, AEW, CMLL, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was just announced that the new president of Pro Wrestling Noah is interested in developing a working relationship with the WWE. So now we're seeing two different Japanese wrestling promotions galvanizing their working relationships with other promotions in the United States. All Japan working with the WWE could certainly be beneficial to both companies, I think. And Jaden, we were talking about it, so what's your thoughts on it?
Again, don't watch much Japanese wrestling like I used to. I used to always watch it, and it's not my cup of tea anymore. But I do occasionally watch All Japan, especially the Triple Crown matches. I do enjoy them, and I think it's going to be great for the NWA. I loved when MLW had an agreement. I loved seeing Hammerstone in All Japan. It was great, and I know Davey Boy Smith Jr. is back there right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I look forward to it. I think it's going to be good for the NWA. I definitely think it's going to be good for EC3. How many different promotions since reclaiming the gold in the after WCW has the NWA worked with in Japan? I can think of at least 5. 4.
So since so we're talking about after the TNA split.
Yes.
So
no, actually, since the WCW split.
Okay, so since WCW, Dan Severn brought the belt to IWA Japan, and UFO.
Yes.
Noya Ogawa defended in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He won the belt in UFO.
Also 0-1.
Ogawa didn't do 0-1, but Shinya
No,
Hashimoto.
but Severn did.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hashimoto brought the title to 0-1. Severn took the belt off of him in 0-1. The next time the 10 pounds of gold was in Japan was again in 0-1 when the Sheik defended. Then Rob Conway against Satoshi Kojima for New Japan Pro Wrestling before Kojima took the belt off of him. Then Hiroyoshi Tenzin brought the title back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Then Tim Storm with Diamond Star Wrestling. So if we're just saying the WCW NWA split, there was
6. 6 counting All Japan, right?
4, 5, 7.
UFO
7.
7.
6. All Japan would be 7. Diamond Star Wrestling is where Tim Storm defended it. New Japan Pro had the whole NWA contingency there. The Sheik and Shinya Hashimoto in 0-1, and Noya Ogawa with UFO New Japan, Dan Severn with IWA Japan. So that's 7.
Was never defended Inoki Genome?
No. They remember they brought I can't remember the guy's name. They used the NWA Heritage title. If you remember, that was more like a Dave Marquez created championship belt that was originally held by Adam Pearce before Adam Pearce won the 10 pounds of gold. The belt went to TJ Perkins. TJ Perkins lost it to Ryan Taylor. Ryan Taylor lost it to old school Oliver John. Oliver John lost it to, I can't think of his name, the Japanese wrestler who defended it in Inoki Genome before losing the title literally due to a tsunami that hit the country. And they ended up recovering that belt because they lost that belt. But yeah.
Okay.
That's
still a lot of Japanese promotions.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. Now, James H. Jackson is talking some Texas wrestling in the chat, so I want to bring up what he's saying real quick. Randy Klein, founder and president of Texas Style Wrestling, has years of experience in the entertainment production business, which he sees as something that can set TSW apart from other independent wrestling companies. Texas Style Wrestling offers a mix of veterans and younger wrestlers looking to start their careers. Klein partners with Dog Pound Dojo, a school that trains professional wrestlers in San Antonio, Texas, led by WWE alumni Rodney Mack and former WWE Women's Champion Jazz. So I don't know. I still think there's something's going to be announced. I think something's going to happen.
We'll see. Billy is supposed to be there, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be at all these things. That's the thing.
Well, he wasn't when we went to New Orleans. Bum.
Lazy slob.
Bitch.
Wow. What are you eating?
Nothing you should know about.
It sounds like, by the paper, it sounds like he's eating a Little Debbie's cake.
You saw the first one.
That's what it was? I was right?
Mhm.
Oh, God. I didn't see the first one, but that's great. I recognize the sound they have a unique sound of cellophane.
So I have been dieting. I've been watching what I eat.
He looks good, people.
Actually, I
What's
can
that?
see it in his face. You can see it already in his face.
My wife still buys me tasty cakes. She buys me the honey bun tasty cakes, and they're delicious. And it's such a freaking chore not to just go, ham on them and eat them all. But I did have one last night, and it was great.
Do you have an air fryer?
Yeah, I do.
Air fry them. They're amazing.
You son of a bitch. Yeah, the other day on TikTok I saw a recipe where they took toast, like bread, cottage cheese, and blueberries, and put that in the air fryer, and it sounded good. My recommendation is make sure you clean out your air fryer before you put that in there, because garlic on cottage cheese and blueberries is not as good as you think it is.
You could probably make it work with the cottage cheese if it didn't have the blueberries and a few other things, but
I was looking for sweet, not savory, and nope.
you really should clean out your air fryer anyway. People don't clean out their air fryer very well, and it can get very toxic.
No, we normally do. Like my my mother-in-law is great. She does all the dishes and cleans our air fryers. So she's
Can I borrow her?
What's that?
Can I borrow her?
No.
I got a lot of dishes that need to be cleaned.
Jesus. Hey, there's a refrigerator in here.
We clean ours once a week. We just noticed?
Yeah, I literally got into my hotel room, went to the bathroom, and then tried to get this thing to work. Jade, we spent the first 5 minutes of the show not live because StreamYard was not working.
Yeah, I had trouble connecting because of that too. I would have actually probably been on 5-10 minutes before I actually was.
So the plane ride that I took today, Jaden, was supposed to be a 2-hour flight. No big deal. It's been raining all day in Texas, thunderstorms. I don't even have pants or a sweater, and it's supposed to be like 90 degrees tomorrow. But as I was flying, we hit so much turbulence that I literally felt the plane drop a couple times. I was like, yeet, 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 yeet. I'm gonna go take some medicine. I'll be right back.
Why am I the only one on that not on medication? And I'm probably the one that should be on medication the
I was
most.
going to say you should be. I don't know why you're not.
That's okay. I go through shock therapy once a week, whether I need it or not. All right, I didn't hear you. What was that, DK?
I said after that joke, we know what medication he should be on.
Yes. I said I go through shock therapy once a week, whether I need it or not.
Well, we told you to stop putting your finger in the light plug.
No, I just grabbed each end of the jumper cables.
Think you're PCO. Or is it OCP?
I like PCO. I know he's like a bit on the older side, but he has gotten better with age.
Yeah, and his gimmick works for him.
And he does remind. I really want to see PCO and Patch.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Well, book it, or tell Lawrence to zirconium to book it.
I was actually talking to Dr. Z because I was with him today. We were actually together at a meeting, possibly for a future dog event.
Board
And it looks like it's going really, really well. It'll probably be in October. But we were asking him, why doesn't he book EC3? And he's like, well, it's because we won't use the NWA championship. And what's the point? Even though he's a big star and he's very talented, his main draw right now is being NWA champion. He probably won't even take a booking if he couldn't defend the NWA championship.
That's a good point. One thing, they're They want to talk about wrestling in the chat, guys. So I'm just going to bring up
No.
something. Jammin' Man. Let me try that again. Jammin' Music Man said, "Who's winning the Crockett Cup?" And now, before you tell me who you think is going to win the Crockett Cup, I'm kind of curious which tag team needs to win the Crockett Cup. I mean, who DK and I kind of had this conversation offline, and when you look at the Crockett Cup and you see like there's so many teams on here, Murdoch's won the tournament last year. Blunt Force Trauma are your tag team champions. There's the Country Gentlemen, the Samoans. We don't know anything about those guys. You've got Kratos and Odinson, who, if they want another opportunity to challenge for the world tag titles, winning the Crockett Cup would probably be, catapult them to it. But who do you think needs to win it? And I'll ask you first, Jamie. I know you have limited knowledge on the NWA tag team division, but who do
I
you
know
think?
of the teams, and I already have my 2 times. I
Times?
know all the times that shake and bake, and I helped. Can you put it back up again, though, so I just make sure I know,
Yeah, I can do that. I'm sorry. That's kind of mean to ask you that without giving you something to look at.
All right. The 2 teams that need it the most, in my opinion, are either the Fixers or the Immortals.
The Fixers and the Immortals.
But I pick the Southern Six.
Ooh, okay. That's not a team I was expecting from you at all. DK, I'm going to throw you the same question. Who needs to win the Crockett Cup, but who's going to win the Crockett Cup?
Okay, this is going to sound weird. But the team that needs to win it is actually Knox and Murdoch.
Okay.
And the reason they need to win it is because they won last year. They failed to capture the World Tag Team title, even though it was always because of interference. They had that bloody cage match with the 2 smaller members of the Southern Six. And it's like, if we're to continue to take them seriously as a team, then the momentum. Now, if I were booking this, and this is 100% fantasy booking, I'm not saying this is the right way. I'm saying this is what I would do. If I were booking this, I'd put BFT and Murdoch, who are 1 and 2 in the finals, and after I'd somehow gold Aaron Stevens into putting the World Tag Team title on the line as well. A winner take all. So the World Tag Team champions against last year's Crockett Cup, winner takes all. So if I were booking, that's what I would do. And again, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's me.
Maybe the Murdochs can give up the Crockett Cup for a championship match.
Maybe. Teams who I would like to see advance into this a little bit further would be the Immortals, Stu Crew, and the Southern Six. I'd like to see them at least get through into the next round, quarterfinals, I guess.
So my 2 cents on this is the team that needs it the most is the Country Gentlemen. The Country Gentlemen, AJ Kazana, former U.S. Tag Team Champion, his partner quits the company, or gets fired, whatever happened. I don't know exactly. They replace him with AJ Kazana. They have a lot of momentum, but they just can't seem to get right. Then his partner comes back, and for the last few months, it's just been tangling with, Idolmania Sports Management, and it doesn't feel like there is a viable option for that tag team to continue to feud with. Putting the Country Gentlemen, if they go over and win the Crockett Cup, it legitimizes that tag team, it makes them front of the line, number one contenders for the World Tag Team titles. Whether they win, lose, or draw, it puts that same momentum that Murdoch's had last year to get to that place where BFT is. So, like, I'm not saying that they're going to win it, but I think they would be the team that would benefit the most from it. I love your guys' ideas on the Southern Six, but I still would just personally, I think Country Gentlemen need it more. However, I would like to see the Stew Crew have a solid outing because the Stew Crew is a team that I think has a lot of potential as well. And they're new to the NWA, not new to Joe Kazana Promotions, but new to like the national audience of the NWA. So the Stew Crew having what's the word I'm looking for? An upset, if they kind of do some bracket busting, I think would be a very good look for those guys. Ultimately, who do I think is going to win the tournament? I think they're having, like, the whole point of this tournament is to put Knox and Murdoch over again so you could have more of that World Tag Team titles, BFT versus Knox Murdoch's, in a way that makes sense and is better for TV that way.
Well, since we have it up, you want to go through some predictions?
Yeah, I don't have anything to write down with, but we could just.
We don't have to write them down just for the fun.
Okay.
So let's remember the first round's already done, so we're basically predicting something that's already happened.
And I want those in the
and
chat.
I don't know. I haven't heard the results. So
right, I want those in the chat to chime in as well because it'll be interesting to hear. But let's start with the bottom right-hand corner. We'll start with the Samoans versus the Country Gentlemen. Jaden, I know you don't know much about the Samoans. Nobody does. Who do you see winning this one, the Gentlemen or the Samoans?
I picked the Country Gentlemen, but I'd like to know who the Samoans are. It'd be cool if it was like Lance on Hawaii and Juicy Finau, whatever I say his name, but I don't know if that is. I don't believe it is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't even know if Juicy Finau is cleared to wrestle right now. I think he's still kind of laid up, so I'm not sure if he's even wrestling. But yeah, that would be much cooler if it was.
I just know Lance recently posted a picture with him and Juicy, so
okay. I hope he's getting better because Juicy was fun. Juicy was a lot of fun. And Lance Ananoa, I think, would make a lot of sense too.
How do you say his last name?
I thought I got it right. Ananoa.
Hawaii.
Fuck, I'm getting closer at it.
It's like Hawaii.
Hawaii. Hawaii.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Hawaii. And I know YE. Okay.
So the Samoans.
You're picking Samoans.
No, I'm saying that's how I pronounce the name.
Got it.
The Samoans. Now, I would pick Country Gentlemen because I think this is, we're talking about rankings earlier.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those things where you get an upset that's not really an upset.
Okay. And so I guess we're all saying that the Country Gentlemen should advance in the first round.
Yes.
Yep.
And then in the chat, I see that Noob had said the Country Gentlemen, he sees them winning. James H. Jackson says his finals are the Country Gentlemen versus Knox and Murdoch. I mean, that would be one side of the card. That could be your semifinals. And then on TikTok Live, Chris Shoemaker says, I've got Trevor and Knox, big and rough teams carry NWA in down times. But okay, so just the first round match, we got Country Gentlemen. Next up, we have the Southern Six versus the Slime Balls. This isn't even a question, man. If it's Alex Taylor and Kerry Morton, it'll be an interesting match between the Slime Balls. If they give us Silas Mason, it's going to be a Donnybrook. DK, who do you see winning here, Southern Six or the Slime Balls?
I think this one, Slime Balls haven't won yet. They've wrestled the kids a couple of times and lost. By the way, that's a terrible name. And so, I think this is pretty much a Southern Six.
Jaden?
I picked the Southern Six, and I hope it's Morton and Thurbilly.
Morton and Mason. Eminem. Okay, next up we have Jax Dane and Tim Storm, the former world champions, against the Looks That Kill, Brian Idol and Natalia Markova. Nice ass, kick ass, or something like that. Badass, great ass, or something. I don't know.
Badass with a great ass.
There you go.
I
DK.
really, I don't care. I hope they.
I don't care. Fair. Look, I don't care either. But DK,
That-
who do you
That
want?
just completely makes Storm worthless. That makes Dane worthless. That makes whoever else. That's so bad. So dumb.
DK, your thoughts?
I'll tell you my fear.
Tell me your fear.
My fear is that somehow Looks at Kill will get the victory because Storm or Dane or both won't want to wrestle Markova. So my fear is that using some sort of stupid thing like that, what it should be is obviously Storm and Dane, but like Jaden says, this makes everybody look bad. Stop doing this shit. It is not cool. It is not innovative. It is not edgy. It's not modern.
Bullshit.
It's just a way to make things look bad.
Yeah.
Is this tournament only for tournament matches, or is there actually going to be other matches?
There's going to be others.
Yeah.
So why isn't Markova in the women's tag team match or something?
Who knows, man?
Well, she might be. See, this has already taken place. So Markova could end up being challenging for the world title. She could challenge for the world TV title if Max is also knocked out. I mean, we just don't know.
Yeah.
And because this is already done, we have no idea what they're doing because they've gotten themselves way too far behind.
I looked up real quick the Samoans on this match. They're called the Savages of Samoa. But that's the only thing we can find out. No names or anything else or history about them.
It's funny when they announced the team, they had like a video of them in the ring, but like no. Anyways, getting back to the tournament, so DK says that he thinks that the Looks That Kill could win because Storm and Dane would be unwilling to punch on Markova. So is that your official prediction then?
No, I'll go with the official prediction of Dane and Storm.
All right, Jaden.
Because it would be good to have Dane and Storm in Texas competing.
Yeah, the Texans would be nice.
Not that anybody will know.
Our luck, they ended up breaking them up, and now they're feuding with each other. That's a Billy Corgan thing.
So Jaden, who do you think is going to win this one then?
I'm going to go with Storm and Dane just because the other one's just moronic.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that one. So we'll just jump to Miserably Faithful versus Knock Murdochs.
I hope Knox and Murdoch's murders the faithful, and then we never see them again.
Same.
Like this match should be ultimately just Knox and Trevor literally just beating the dicks off of these guys. Like they should just beat the
You might
shit
want to
out of
reword
them.
that.
No, I don't think I will. I think that's exactly what I meant. I want them to beat the shit out of them. I want to see a vulgar display of violence, and I want to see pain and suffering, and I want to see blood. I want the TV screen to go gray, because you're putting, in my estimation, a badass tag team in the ring with a joke. A joke. And it's a joke that's ran its course. We've lived with the Gimp now for 2 years.
Too long.
Sal the Pal. I still like Sal very much. I think he's still a very good wrestler. I don't like the gimmick. I don't like what he's doing.
He makes great faces when the Pretty Empowered are talking.
Well, since you asked for it, let's pull it up just so everyone else can see.
I don't remember asking.
Our friend Sal the Pal.
Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Kizzy Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called? Podcast, period. Or you're ugly. Pretty Empowered approved. All right.
Yeah, we didn't ask for that.
I did. I asked for it.
By the way, if you pay attention to the credits at the end of Power, you'll notice that Salvatore
Renaro.
is one of the backstage producers.
I remember when I said that was Sal Renaro, and you guys had that epiphany.
No,
mentioned it at Wild Side.
No, I knew that all along.
That was Kevin that had the epiphany.
Was it? He wrestled against him, and he didn't even know it was the same guy.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Okay. So, matches.
Getting back to, sorry, I'm still digging it. Yeah, I haven't seen Ella Envy in a while, so I'm really looking forward to seeing her in action again. Next up, we have the Stu Crew versus Daisy Kill and Talos. Of course, Daisy Kill and Talos, former NWA US Tag Team Champions. They lost the belts to the Immortals. They won the belts off of the Country Gentlemen. And they did advance in that tournament that has been just forgotten about since Crockett Cup's been in the works. I think this is the opportunity for the Stu Crew to look good, be good, feel good, and advance in the tournament. I think this is their opportunity. So I'm going to say Stu Crew gets the victory here. And I see that DKM does not agree with that. At least.
No, that's what I want.
That's what you want too. Okay. So is that your official prediction then? Stu Crew gets the win?
It's going to be my official prediction.
Let's make it a trifecta.
For those that don't know, Stu Crew, it was after this taping, but before Crockett Cup, has won the
Joe Kazana Promotions.
Joe Kazana's Southeastern Tag Team Championship.
And you saw the Stu Crew with us here when we were doing the watch along.
Yeah, well, I would say we thought they were the best Joe Kazana talent that wasn't already being used by the NWA.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that said, they need the representation in Crockett Cup of a territory champion. And right now, they're the only territory I know that has that has tag team champions that might be known to anybody in the industry. Because I'm pretty sure Exodus Pro doesn't have tag team champions, and
not yet.
They got an ugly belt, but
Such an ugly belt. So ugly.
I'm pretty sure I saw it at King Charles' coronation up against a wall or something. They
It
had
was
all
covered in red.
they had those gold plates and stuff like that. Yeah.
When I see that belt, this is the thing that comes to mind.
I want to see the belt. Show the belt.
I don't have it. Let me see if I can find it.
Say the weird thing.
People are desperately wanting weird.
And don't know who you are.
Yeah, but I think the Stu Crew, I like them. I wish there was the why can't I think of their names? Former NWA Tag Team Champions.
Midnight, the Heat Seekers.
The Heat Seekers, yeah.
So I'm looking for the title, and there's so many great Midwest titles that they could have used. Instead, we got that piece of shit. I'm looking for it.
How do you really feel?
I really dislike it, and I'm trying to find it, so you'll have to forgive me. I don't see it just yet.
I didn't see it on the on the Discord.
Or X, excuse me.
Yeah, it's probably on X. Probably the best.
While we're waiting, DK, I sent you that thing. I don't know if you got it. I sent it to both of you. That the Savaldis bought the Carluzzo tapes.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I had not seen that yet.
It probably dissipated because I actually sent a something from Sean Donovan. I think it was a live. I couldn't get the actual find the original post. But yeah, the Savaldis bought. Mark Carluzzo found a whole bunch of Dennis Carluzzo tapes and sold it to the Savaldis. They have their own little way you can watch wrestling content, and there's a lot of stuff on there. Some global, some world class, some NWA on Fire, some old ICWs from Florida, and now they're going to say,
"Oh my gosh!" Just looking at just found the belt again.
Send it to Jay so we can put it up there.
I just found it. I'm working on it. It's such an ugly belt.
But you get to see Dan Severn and the Reckless Youth and Tommy Cairo and a lot of people that have been around the industry have been through the Eddie Gilbert Memorial events and stuff like that.
Do they have a tournament that
the tournament that Candido won? That'll be on there. You'll actually see some Biggie Biggs and some Patch. They used to work for Carluzzo back in the day.
You'll probably see Jim the Anvil Neihart, some Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You'll probably see some Warlord and Barbarian.
Jerry Lawler.
You'll definitely see some Jerry Lawler. I don't think the Warlord and Barbarian ever worked any Carluzzo events or Duggan. Doink the Clown did a lot. Tom Brandy into like multiple different gimmicks. That is an ugly ass belt.
It is the worst.
No, it's not as bad as any of the that Mountain States, but
okay. But
were those really belts?
Or the there's been some ugly ass belts out there, so it looks like it's something you would see in an Aztec temple, but
I would say more of your Roman mythology. I think that's more what they were going for. Our pal EC3 is really into Bacchus and Dionysus and Ares and Mars and I think it's all
Uranus.
Oh my God, Maiden. Anyways,
yeah, that was fugly.
Look out! Here's a full moon, and there's Uranus.
Oh my God, Jesus! There's your full moon right there, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. So, anyways, let's get back to the tournament because we are getting kind of later in the evening, and all of a sudden I got really hungry. Next up, we have the Immortals versus the Kids. Exactly what I described for Knox and Murdoch versus the Faithful. That's what I want here. DK, Kids versus the Immortals. Who do you have going over?
Immortals.
Okay. Jaden?
Immortals.
All right, so we're all kind of agreement on that one. Next up, we got the Fixers versus Max and Judas. Now, Max is your unified TV champion. Judas is
undisputed, not unified.
Okay. And Judas is a guy that has weird braids in his hair. They're taking on the Fixers, who a lot of people agree if the Fixers are serious, they become a very fun tag team. When they're goofy, well, DK, who do you want to see win this one?
Honestly, I want to see the Fixers. I'm scared it's going to be Max and Judas.
The only thing that would be appealing to me is if Max and Judas go over, is maybe setting up like a Max versus Wrecking Ball Ligursky for the television title, because
only if he wins.
Sure. I just food for thought. Jaden, who do you want to see go over, Max and Judas, or
I want the
Fixers?
I want the Fixers to win. Vinny's cousin, especially, And I also really, for some reason, want to see that giant, ugly red King Charles painting behind DK.
It's not as bad as the one that is in the. There it is.
No, I like those. I want to see the painting, the actual painting, or at least a print of it behind it. I also want to see the what was his name of Carpathia from Ghostbusters 2?
You want to see them side by side, huh?
Yes. Somebody actually did the painting recently with Palpatine too. It looks really cool.
All right. Okay, and then the other match for the evening the finals, I guess. That's keep putting the wrong graphic up. BFT versus the play-in team, which it looks like it's either going to be the Butterflies or the Ham and Eggers or whatever the heck they were.
Cheese and whatever.
Yeah, cheese and McFlurry or something like that.
Green Machine and cheese. And if there's ever a team that so desperately needs to change their names,
you're going with that one?
Yeah, I probably.
Your disgust is all that. It's hilarious.
Look, people have had stupid names in wrestling forever, but now, especially on the indie scene, they are getting so freaking bad. And there are two things I'll always remember hearing from old timers. Jim Cornette and his WrestleMania main event test. Would you ever have a WrestleMania? Forget who it is, just these names. Did you ever have a WrestleMania main event of Green Machine versus Cheese?
Nope.
No. So it fails the Jim Cornette test there.
What about cheese versus cheeseburger?
I don't like cheeseburger. I was never a fan. The other thing was, and the sad thing about that is I love cheeseburgers. But the other one was Harley Race, who wrestled under a different name for a little bit. And his dad asked him something to the effect of, why do you want to make somebody else famous? It's like, I understand you may not want to use your legit name, but come up with something. Kevin Frazier, Kevin Douglas. Okay, that works. That sounds like a name. That sounds like a person.
I really thought his last name was Douglas, and he bears a resemblance to my brother-in-law. And so my wife and I, my wife's maiden name is Douglas. We used to just call him our brother Kevin.
Yeah, but yeah, little things like that I semi understand, but don't use the name Cheese. If a wrestling promoter came up to you and said, "We want you to go by the name Cheese," you should immediately leave.
Maybe you should change his name to Fermunda.
I don't care.
Change his name to what?
Fermunda. Fermunda my balls.
The other day I saw a meme.
Good night, folks.
The other day I saw a meme. It said, "Underboob, wish I was."
That's what there used to be a Playboy Playmate and host and whatever else she did called Sarah Underwood, and her nickname was Sarah Underboob.
All right.
Does the name Puke fit either one of those scenarios that was talked about? Are you making something else famous, or in the main event, do you see WrestleMania main event? Do you see Shawn Michaels versus Puke?
Could you see WrestleMania 50, right? WrestleMania 50. Dominic Mysterio, Logan Paul for the WWE Undisputed Championship.
I see half of it.
Oh, which one don't you like?
I'd like both, actually. I'm entertained by both, but I don't see Mr. Dominic as a WWE champion, but I definitely see Logan Paul someday.
I see Dominic. Okay, I know we're taking a turn. We're supposed to be talking about the Crockett Cup. We'll get back to it in 5 minutes. I think Dominic Mysterio is doing such an interesting job of being a heel. And I know some of it's canned heat. I get it. But there's a lot of legit heat when he goes out there. So much so that AJ Styles said, "I wish I got as much booze as Dominic Mysterio does." I really feel like Dominic Mysterio is going to break through to another level when he comes back. And especially if they do this angle between Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley that involves, Dominic Mysterio. I think that'll be amazing.
See, they could put Dave Dahl out there, and everybody who meets him will boo him that loud. I still don't see Dave Dahl as WWE champion.
That's fair. But, with that being said, Dominic Mysterio could work, though, too. I mean, maybe he's not a future Hall of Famer, but I think he could be.
That was the question I was going to ask. Is, Dominic Mysterio has not been in the business very long. Reality. And so the question becomes, is Dominic Mysterio becoming a good worker? Now, he's a lot better than he was. Is he in the ring as a worker good?
He's still greener than goose shit, but he is, I wouldn't say he's good yet, but he's definitely, I think he could be a solid hand, if not a good worker in the future, because there are signs that he's showing and he's starting to understand it.
I get that he's not his father, right? I totally get that. And like I said, I've already told you how much I like him, so I'm willing to admit that I'm biased.
He also likes Dave Dollar, so there's obviously something wrong with him.
But
and avocado.
I watched his match with Dragon Lee pretty extensively. They did it on Raw for the North American title. Dragon Lee retained the belt, or excuse me, Dominic retained the belt. But during that match, there was so much that I saw that I liked about it. And I literally make these clips that I put up on YouTube. So I watch them quite a bit. And when I watch that match and I go back and look at it, the way that Dominic worked, I felt for someone who wasn't trained in traditional lucha libre, I don't think he was down in the auditorium, training the way that his father did. He's pretty gifted, and I don't know. I maybe again, I like I said, I'm partial. I like what his work is. I enjoy watching the character. I think he's a lot better hand than you give him credit for.
Yeah, he's definitely not his father. He is no Eddie Guerrero.
Shit.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's too early for me, but I have seen a lot of improvement in him. So where will he be in 10 years? I don't know.
People also forgot by the time we saw Rey Mysterio, he's already wrestling for like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was wrestling at 16 in the auditorium. He was going through AAA. Still not of legal age. And when he was wrestling for ECW, I mean, I think he was like 18 or 19, right?
I seen one match of him on a tape that was traded to me, and then soon after that, it was the Worlds Collide. And he was part of a 6-man. He didn't quite get the chance to highlight himself as well as I think he did in ECW, but you could tell right away there's just something special with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's always part of the problem. I mean, we know Dominic's not going to be another Rey Mysterio, but will he be a Dominic Mysterio? Will that be? And look, there are a lot of people, and I won't call Jay out by name, but there are a lot of people that when Cody first left WWE, and I remember saying, I think Cody's just missing something. I go, I think he's so close. I go, but and that's where I came up with the phrase. I go, he reminds me of studying Steve Austin or Rocky Maivia. There's something there, but it's not being channeled correctly. And I can remember Jay going, "You really think so?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "I think he can be a big star." And Jay wasn't very convinced when I first said that.
No, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they put him in the Stardust gimmick. And I think I got too much wrapped up in that. I think I took for granted that, he, number one, still he's still Dusty's son. Number two, he does have the gift of gab. But I guess just during that time as the, Rhodes Scholar, I didn't see that as being something that was great. When he was in Legacy, I didn't see that as something that was great. But
when he had that stupid mustache,
what was it? Charming, dashing Cody Rhodes.
And I think in all those cases, you're right. I mean, he wasn't, and I don't know that you 100% could see some of it. And that's the thing. Until they have the chance. He says Paul Heyman was the one that told him, go out and,
find yourself.
Yeah.
Bet on yourself. He really did.
And that's what happened. And let's be honest, biggest active star in wrestling right now, it's Cody Rhodes.
On a much smaller scale, I remember both of you telling you I thought Jason Kincaid had something. Yeah, and boy, you guys looked at me like I had a turd coming out of my mouth.
What's funny is that when you first said it, I thought you were crazy. And then later on, I watched him and I thought, wow, Jaden has really got something going. And then I saw him in person and I kind of went back to, maybe Jaden is crazy. In person, I had a hard time getting over his size.
Well, he is a much smaller performer, but at the same time, he's, that's why I feel like the wrestling hurts by not having weight divisions. But now we're going on another topic entirely. Let's get a little bit back to the tag team tournament, and then
some promotions have weight divisions.
What's that?
There's some promotions out there that have weight divisions.
I've heard of one that's coming up. I heard that's going to have a really neat thing. I've even read their rule book.
Yeah. So apparently Jay hasn't read their rule book yet, but
where are they based out of?
Oh, news is coming.
Okay, so then BFT versus the play-in. Are we just all assuming that BFT is going to win it?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So
That's why we weren't eager to answer it. It was like that one's obvious.
I hope he beats.
Okay.
I hope they beat the cheese out of their opponents.
Yes.
So Country Gentleman versus Southern Six. Who you got, DK?
Country Gentleman versus Southern Six. I want the gentleman, but it's going to be Southern Six.
All right, Jaden.
The Western 3 I'm picking.
All right. So I'm going to say Country Gentleman, but we're going to go with majority rules here. So we're going to put Southern 6 over on that bracket. Then we have, we said it was going to be Dane and Storm versus Knox and Murdoch. That's a real slobber knocker right there, gentlemen. Who do you see winning that one, Jaden?
I'm going to go with an upset and go with Storm and Dane.
Oh, DK.
Yeah, I'm going with Knox and Murdoch.
I'm also going to go with Knox and Murdoch. So we're just sorry, but Jaden, you've been outvoted. The tribe has spoken. Then we have on the other side, we have the Stew Crew versus the Immortals. Who do you got, Jaden?
I have an upset with the Stew Crew.
I also have an upset with the Stew Crew.
And there we go. I've got the Stew Crew as well, advancing to the semifinals. Then we have BFT versus the Fixers. So who you got? I'm going to say Blunt Force Trauma is going to get the win there.
Yes.
DK, who do you see?
Blunt Force Trauma.
Jaden?
Blunt Force Trauma.
All right. So that means our finals would be the Southern Six versus Knox and Murdoch. And on one side, and then on the other side, it'd be BFT versus the Stew Crew. So we'll go Southern Six versus Murdoch's. Who do you got, DK?
Murdoch's.
Jaden, same?
Southern Six.
I'm also going Southern Six in this reality. So we'll say Southern Six in the finals, and then we'll go on the other side with BFT or the Stew Crew.
I'm going with the Big Friendly Giants.
I'm going with BFT, which will be interesting because this will be, I think, the first time that the World Tag Team Champions make it to the finals.
So then that puts the finals as Blunt Force Trauma versus the Southern Six. Would the tag team titles be on the line in this reality?
No.
So who wins the cup?
Southern Six.
Blunt Force Trauma.
Ooh. I'm going to say Blunt Force Trauma.
It's the best thing you can do for Blunt Force Trauma.
Well, sure. If you care about making them even more over, then sure.
And
but DK did, real quick, on record, DK did pick Murdoch's to go over for winning. Just because our bracketing is what he's picking.
Yes.
Right. With the options we are given, that's what I would go with.
Well, I would have went Country Gentleman to win out, but last year my pick was 2 years ago my pick was the Fixers, and they disappointed.
Yeah, they didn't get knocked out in the first round, though, did they?
No, because they had that matchup with the Kingdom, and they won the first match against the Kingdom, but at the Cup they lost. So I think that's going to do it for us tonight, because I think we covered the Crockett Cup, and there's too much of Power to get into. We did enough talk about Power. But real quick, Jaden, you said you were at a place today. Do we have any news to report, or we have to wait another week or two?
Yeah, hopefully it's we'll find out hopefully soon. I don't think we're going to find out till June unless they can get on the docket in May.
Okay.
But hopefully something will be coming out in October, and it'll be something cool to work with, and we'll see more what's going on. But all the matches now in both Rowan College and Rowan of Burlington County and Rowan University are up on the YouTube page, and we hit over 1,000. I think we're 1,030 somewhere the last time I looked.
Nice. That's great. I'm very happy for you guys. As somebody who I'm still working on growing an audience. Like we're over 4,000 now on this channel, which is amazing, and I'm so grateful for you guys being a part of this community, helping the channel grow. Whether you like, comment, subscribe, you're watching the videos, you're sharing the videos, whatever it is you're doing, keep it up because it's helping tremendously. But I'm also trying to grow a Lucha Libre themed channel, Veamos Lucha Libre, which is almost at 700, and I started it about a year ago, but I've really been pushing it hard the last few months, and I'm noticing like it's starting to come together. So it's a lot of fun when you can make things happen that way. And
I saw Dr. Zirconium shared that. That's cool.
Yeah, very excited about that, and that helped grow it out too. And then real quick, I don't want to ignore Matthew Underwood's comment. He said, "Why are the clowns gone?" I don't know. Same reason why Mecha Wolf isn't there. They just didn't want to use him, I guess.
I think they're probably going to be more of an NWA Chicago based entity.
Maybe.
And
they're just not down with the clowns.
I mean, personally, I'm glad they're gone, but which means they'll show back up here quickly. But.
Well, you know,
if you are a fan of the clowns, I expect them to return since I don't want them to.
Mecha Wolf was booked before the tournament, so he wasn't able to make it or be a part of Crockett Cup this year. I imagine that maybe the Brothers of Funstruction had a similar issue because I don't know why you wouldn't use a perfectly. Well, you know, that's the thing too. Like I was about to just write it off, but isn't there still matches for the play-in or no?
Or say that again.
Isn't there still like another play-in match or no?
Well, I think there's one more. And there are going to be other matches. Of course, we know EC3 is defending the title, and we know EC3 is going to win. And we know Tom Latimer is defending the national title. And I'm assuming Tom Latimer is going to win. And we know the Killer Bees are going to be there. Or King Bees, excuse me. King Bees are going to be there. And they're supposed to defend their titles.
I would much rather see Jim Brunzell and B. Brian Blair. But go ahead.
I need to humble that B. Brian Blair.
Yeah, jabroni.
And so, let me think. Who else? Joel Long. He's not.
Oh, no.
So I'm assuming there will be a junior heavyweight title defense.
Well, apparently the idea was pushed to the NWA office to do Joe Alonzo versus Fuego del Sol. And apparently Billy wasn't familiar with Fuego del Sol.
That's okay. I'm not his biggest fan. So
I think
they should do. Somebody from Texas. And, when we got ready to do Barrett Brown.
It would be a good choice. I don't know that.
They're not going to, but that would have been very, very smart. Oh, man, that's like such a good idea.
Bring signs. Fire Billy. Hire Jaden.
Sure, I would definitely do that. They won't kick me out for that at all. Okay, real quick, and then Matthew Underwood confirms that he told them on Twitch today they also didn't match his rate. That's the big thing right there. Rate is everything. All right, we got to wrap it up. I'm getting hungry and I'm getting tired and I'm getting cranky. I've had a long day.
That's late for you.
No, it's normal for me, but I've been.
No, I mean it's where you're at is much later than where you're normally are.
Yeah, I'm just tired. So Jaden, dogprowrestling.com and the YouTube channel is also Dog Pro Wrestling. DKM, you have anything you want to share with us, or we wait another time?
Just if you want to follow me, it's DKM FWTX. There are some things brewing down here. We'll see. I would like to make an announcement in the next month.
That's why I'm here.
I'd like to make an announcement in the next month. We'll see what happens.
And of course, you can follow me at the Alliance blog. I'm posting a lot more content on TikTok and Instagram. Make sure you're following the Alliance blog. all social medias and especially on YouTube. Thank you guys. Like I said, tune in tomorrow or maybe even later tonight for the Japanese, the NWA World Title in Japan. That's the name of the podcast, I think, but a lot of Japanese flavor, if you will. That's going to do it for us, guys. We'll be here in Texas for the Crockett Cup. Stay tuned to those social medias to see some exclusive behind-the-scenes stuff, photos, pictures, maybe even DKM smiling.
No.
Real quick, I wanted to, since you're doing the TikTok, I want you and DK to do some of those TikTok dances.
No. Look at my thighs. I'm counting it for the guys.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are